Good morning, everyone. We have made tremendous progress on so many fronts in the last couple of months. And including, I'm just going to give a quick recap. Our enrollment, we were up one student year over year, which meant we had increased enrollment for the first time in a decade, every single semester for a year. So that is great progress. But when you start digging down into the numbers, it's very interesting because summer enrollment as a percentage for the last 3 years, students are not taking summer classes. We had been up around 40% of enrollment coming from winter into summer. And in the last several years, we have hovered right around 30%. So we were at 31 in order to get that gain. Obviously, this was a very down years in the 20s to get that gain. But if we can return to average, actually, we should have a nice gain this summer. But it will take a lot of work. It's really a cultural shift again to get students back into that mode of taking classes during the summer. So I'm going to ask for all faculty help to really start getting the word out in terms of the importance of taking classes in the summer, because what we do find is summer melt, right? When students don't continue on into the summer, they're also less likely to continue on, period. And so it's very important to just keep that toe in the water with summer enrollment. So we'll be talking about that in the upcoming weeks. I will unshare my screen. And Tracy Perry, your very first presentation at a WIGS meeting. So welcome to the team. We're excited to have you, and I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. So I do have some quick slides to share, so I will bring those up now. What we've been really doing and focusing on is the CRM updates and completion. And this is talking over with the team, this is going to be cross-departmentally and how we're going to be able to utilize this to really up our communication between departments and with our students. So the first thing, we did go live with our application a few weeks ago, but we just want to make sure that everything is going into colleague correctly from TargetX. So Jonathan has been working very diligently on that, and so we're hoping to get that completed by next week. And again, talking about increasing the communication flow for students, tracking across departments. We're looking at before fall semester around August 1. Of course, these things can change depending on how quickly we can get some of these things done. And the first thing is to upload our current students into the CRM. So our students that are going in from the application pool are going to go into our CRM, but we need to take the students from colleague and put them in there. And the reason why we're going to do this, because right now we really have no way to input the communications that we have with students and track it. So yes, colleague has different ways that we can put comments in, but if a certain department does not have access to that screen, we can't see what was said or what was communicated. But by having everyone inputted for the past 5 years into the CRM, we can track what emails went out, who talked to us students, what meetings were had, and then anyone with the license can pull that information up just by putting in a student's name, student ID number, or any identifying information. And that way we can track their progress across different departments. So in order to do that, we need user license for the staff. And this date is kind of conservative, meaning that is kind of mirroring when the budget, but hopefully we can do some things to get this done a little bit quicker. And we're talking about between enrollment, registration, financial aid, and student success. And of course, staff will need to be trained once they have access to the different systems. And we can start this before July 15th. However, because we do have a self-paced training system, however, we're still going to need some hands-on training as well, which Jonathan and I will lead. And if the user licenses are purchased by July 1st, we should have staff training done within those 2 weeks after that. Of course, these numbers can change depending on how things go. As a second WIG goal, of course, we want to increase our fall enrollment for high school enrollment. So there's a couple of different lead measures we can do to have that done. We interviewed for the high school liaison position last week, and we have a final candidate that we're looking to make a offer to her for in the very near future. So we want to have her trained on the systems and how to register students. So knowing that she has to give a notice to her employer, we're looking to have everything done by March 15th. Also, we want to meet with the high school staff. We've been doing this, Scott and I, we've gone and we met with principals at 2 of the schools as well as their counselors. We also went to the principal district meeting yesterday, and we're also invited to speak with the counselors. But not only that, we want to bring them to campus as well. So we're going to bring, once we get our high school liaison in place, we're going to bring the counselors to campus so that they can tell us what their concerns are. They can meet her and just make that a little bit more streamlined with that. And of course, we still want to go out to the individual schools as well. There are 9 or 10 in the county that we want to visit. We've visited 2, and we should have this completed by April 1st. And in order to increase fall enrollment as well, we need to do a little bit more on the high school visits and school trips. So this is just not us going out to the high schools and visiting. We have also scheduled where some different organizations and schools are going to come on campus. We're looking to have a large event in April, around April 14th, when the schools have their testing for the state, and we can bring the seniors on campus and have different events and hopefully get some of them to do their application and enroll for fall semester there. And what I want to show, I do have a little bit of a snapshot of what we've been doing and what we're going to do over the next week or so. So this week we did go to 3 different of the schools and have school visits. There was one event that was like an open enrollment event, and we also did some direct college. And this is what we have planned for next week. So there's another event planned for next week plus 2 school visits. And then I also wanted to show how many students we actually impacted or talked to. So when it comes to the school visits, we talked to over 33 students, and for the direct college visits, which is still important, even though they're currently our dual enrolled students, and we go and we talk to them about orientation and how they're doing. But of course, that touch point is going to make sure that they stay with us throughout the dual enrollment program, and hopefully also enroll for future classes once they graduate from high school. And that's what I have today.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So for the Financial Aid Office WIG, we are collaborating with the admissions department to provide support for the CRM implementation and build a communication track that is going to move students toward completing the financial aid process earlier prior to registering for classes. So our lead measure is to develop the structure to make completing the financial aid file first in the steps that students are taking to prepare for the upcoming semester. And the lag measure that we'll be looking at is to reduce the percentage of students who are deregistered for non-payment. So how do we get there? First, we have a very important goal of solving this problem of how do we award new students earlier in the recruitment process. Right now, we have the system glitch in the colleague system that is preventing us from being able to package financial aid for any student who has not had the advising appointment with the counselor. I'm really excited to say that last night, I believe I made significant progress on solving this issue. There is some database setup that needs to be looked at in Colleague on the CIMO screen. There is a rule I know I need to modify in the academic progress module of Colleague. Really happy that I'm making progress on those. Because Colleague is an integrated system, things that I do on my end in the financial aid module don't just impact my office though. If I were to change something on CIMO, this has an impact for the registrar, it has an impact for admissions. So it's important that we work with our collaborators before we actually do anything that could potentially mess up somebody else's records in the system. So I have due dates of solving these problems by mid-March and the beginning of April. And if we achieve that, I think it's going to put us in a really good position for the summer recruiting. Second, we have a goal of leveraging the CRM to proactively communicate with our continuing students about completing the financial aid process earlier for the next semester or the next academic year. We have a number of steps that have to be completed in doing that. First, we need to get involved in the independent expert hub training that is available to us about creating email campaigns and Target X. This is something that we can all do the training independently, so we're going to do and complete that by mid-March. We need to develop a schedule for the campaigns so that we're not always thinking reactively about what needs to go out. We really need this schedule all laid out in advance so that we are prepared. I also want to have that completed by mid-March. We need to write the copy for those campaigns. So we'll work with the Director of Marketing and Communications and then my entire staff, the Assistant Director, the Financial Aid Assistants to develop those by mid-April. And then finally, a goal of being able to build the first campaign in Target X. We'll collaborate with Tracy Perry regarding that. I put a goal date of March or May 1st. That could change. That would be flexible just depending on where things go in terms of the CRM implementation. But lots of work ahead of us, but very excited.
This is transformational. Dr. Culler, you and I have talked about this so many times. I think most schools have this challenge, right, about where financial aid comes in the process. And everybody knows where it should come, but it's very difficult to get it there. And so this is absolutely transformational. This is right on the forefront of what colleges are trying to accomplish. So great work. Tracy Vogt, good morning.
Good morning. The admissions team is also going to be playing a role in implementing the CRM. We did meet this week to kind of hammer out how we can be involved in this process because the system is not affecting our processes as much as the rest of the team. But we did come up with, I think, a very helpful way to get this moving and to help the admissions team out. So what we're going to focus on is implementing the interdepartmental student communication tracking system, specifically when it comes to helping students or answering phones and leaving comments in the system so that we have a history of what we've done with a student. So if others are helping, like in the Student Success Center, they'll know what we've done in the admissions office or in financial aid. So we're going to help with that process. There are a couple of different systems we could use for this. We're hoping to use the CRM. So I'm going to be doing some investigating on that right now, which is in progress. We'll be testing the system once we choose the best solution. I'll then write some procedures that include some FERPA guidelines for this new process. And then my staff and I will be developing some training material and a training plan. And then we plan on training campus once we have all the license in place. So this is just a kind of a checklist of what I just talked about. Right now, the first goal is at 40%, and then we'll just keep filling this in as time goes on. And then in addition to that goal, we do have a couple of other department goals that support the completion rate increase. And I had talked about this last week. We are focusing on increasing articulation agreements and course transferability. There's a lot of tactics in the strategic plan that are supporting this. We've already done an inventory of all the articulation agreements that we offer. I've met with Grace and the deans earlier in the week to start developing some guidelines and processes to assist with program articulation agreements and course transferability. We should have that in place by the end of the semester. And Cassie is currently analyzing the existing course inventory for our top 4 transfer partners and that will help the deans identify gaps and opportunities for course transfer. And then in addition to that, we are also working on implementing the AutoGrad. Right now we are working on procedures and communications to students. We're hoping to do a test run of that for summer semester and then full implementation for fall semester. So that's what we have.
Excellent. And in regards to the overall wildly important goal of increasing completion rates, at some point, could you just put together a graph of completion rates over the last 5 years or something like
Sure.
that, so we can just kind of see that and
Sure.
where we're headed and so forth? Obviously, we need to know what that is. All right, excellent. Well done. Gerald, good morning.
Good morning. Let me get my screen up here. Can everybody see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So first of all, I'd just like to offer my thanks for working with Tracy Perry, Tracy Vogt, and Valerie. It's been wonderful working with you. We've got some really great collaborations coming up. So as part of the student success part, I'll share my slide here. Get to it. So we're going to be collaborating with all the departments, admissions, financial aid, the registrar, on a part of the CRM implementation. And we're going to focus on the new appointment process. So we have different appointment processes in different offices, and we'd like to consolidate all those together. So for instance, the testing center, we're going to work with disability services, with the tutors and the writing fellows, with the admissions counselors and community mental health. Try to get a system where it's very seamless for making appointments, not only for internal users like ourselves, but also for students. And so the overall goal, we'd like to have it completed by June. It might be a little earlier, it might be a little later. It just depends on how things go. So to start out, we're going to perform a needs assessment with each department. So I'm going to be working with the different departments to see what do they need? What do they need as far as sign-in procedures? Everyone's kind of using their own their own thing right now. So I'd like to do the needs assessment and have that done by March 15th. Then work with the CRN team on the design of the appointment process. There's one we definitely can use in the CRM. There are also some ones that are outside. For instance, we use Tutor Track down here for disability services and the tutors. So look and see which one is going to work best for us. Of course, once we decide what we're going to do, we want to test the appointment process and make sure it works for everyone. So we'll try to have that completed by May the 2nd. Then, of course, we're going to do some training. And some of these dates are a little bit compressed, but again, once you get to this point where you make your decisions, some of these things can move a little bit faster. So provide training to faculty, staff, and then students, of course, will be rolling this out. That'll be kind of ongoing as we approach summer semester and then head toward fall. Implement the new appointment process. We'd like to try to have that completed towards the end of May or May 23rd. And then probably one of the most important things is to assess, measure, and report on the effectiveness. And to do that, we like to use it this summer, but also this fall, and take a look and see what went well, which hopefully everything will, what things need to be improved, and how we can kind of tweak that. So we're really excited about this, making it easier not only for staff, but for students to reach us, to make appointments, and some of this stuff they can do on their own. So I'm really excited about the possibility of doing this, and we'll keep everyone informed.
Thank you very much, sir. Actually, Joe, before I go to you, Gerald, would you just give a quick update so that everybody knows exactly what's happening in counseling this coming up week?
So we are very, very excited to have Monroe County Community Health here with us this week. They're going to be here on Wednesday and Thursday. And we have, they're going to be here to meet with students and to refer them out for services. So if students need to talk to someone, if they need services like for counseling or just anything type of services that they provide, they'll be able to meet either virtually or one-on-one with the counselors here. And they'll kind of do an intake and then be able to refer them out for services. We have some students already that we're going to reach out to and that have contacted us. So we're really excited about that. It's kind of a soft rollout for the month of February. We'll have some kind of grand opening things, if you will, in the next few weeks. So, and since Joe is on the call, Joe, you and I can kind of work on some flyers and things like that. We can talk offline about that and how we can promote this to our students. It's been in the Agora and also in the happenings that you may have seen out there. And again, we're going to try to make this in the forefront. It's something that many colleges offer. A lot of students, especially now, feel the need to have these types of services. And we're just really excited with this partnership. And like any partnership, it starts out kind of with this, but we hope that it can blossom into maybe many different things down the road to assist our students here. So,
especially during a pandemic and everything going on, this is incredible that we can now offer these services to our students. So thank you for that. Sorry about that, Joe. I'll turn it over to you.
Oh, that's fine. I'll share now. Okay. So I did share this verbally. I didn't realize last time that my screen was not sharing, but so I did send it out via email. There's been some updates, so I'll kind of go through this again, and I've got a few additions at the end. So obviously, the communications office plays a key role in helping the admissions office implement the CRM. We kind of come in and out and really help with all those communications messages and strategizing the architecture for the communication flows and all of those things. So we've been meeting very closely with financial aid, Valerie, Jonathan, who's been developing the CRM in conjunction with Tracy Perry and Tracy, and Michelle out of my office from a copywriting standpoint to help me the last few weeks to really start to get the communications portion of the CRM underway. So the WIG that we're suggesting is that my office will complete all the structural and content creation assigned to us, such as the architecture of these flows, the support copy and graphical elements for the automated communications flows for inquiries, admits, and then there's also a web portal by June 1. And actually, that's a fairly aggressive deadline when you think about all the copywriting and sort of architecture of all these communications flows that we need to complete. But we've got some things done already. We've had a number of strategy sessions that we've completed for each one of those things. The portal, the inquiry flow, and then the admitted student flow have all been held. And then we've even developed a new inquiry form already based on those meetings. We've already developed architectures for the communications flows for the portal and the admitted student. We're still tweaking the portal. It's going to be not just for accepted students, which a lot of colleges do. It's going to be for students even once they inquire. We're going to encourage them to get into the portal. I won't spend a ton of time explaining that. It's pretty complicated, but essentially it's kind of a micro site that's specific to the student based on the information we have on them. Instead of referring them out to the vast website, we create this website within the CRM where we may send them to the main website, but we also may just leave them in that portal, and that'll follow them all the way through up till the time they register. And then also we're looking at the inquiry communications flow. We hope to have all the written content and the graphical content to Jonathan so he can start implementing that by 2/28/22. Then we're going to give ourselves another 5 weeks or so to get all the admitted students' communications flows, all those communications written, and then the portal we're hoping to have by mid-May, which you can see those dates really match up pretty well with Tracy's slide earlier for when we want to launch all these communications and start to train folks to use this. I'll give you an example of one of the flows that we've developed for new students. So a student inquires. They get an immediate initial response that will thank them for requiring, link them to program information, give them instructions to apply and a button to do so, and then financial aid and scholarship info. If we have no application after 10 days, then we will text them that they need to get their application in. If again, after 10 days, we don't have an application, we will call them. And then after 10 more business days and no application, we're going to invite them via email to schedule a campus tour, make an appointment, join us for recruitment events. And then if we don't have any movement after 3 months, we're going to email them 4 weeks before the next registration period to encourage them to apply now for that registration period. So we're kind of following up. We've never really done this before except ad hoc, following up the students that we have in our that we have in our inquiry pool to continue to get them to apply once the semester is up. I will share with you, this is, and you should be seeing our website right now. If you're not, let me know. This is our current request info form. Prior to the launch of the new website, the admissions office was collecting some inquiry info, but it was mostly via cards. There wasn't a lot going on. If a counselor brought cards back from a high school visit, they would respond to those students. With the website, we kind of forced the issue a little bit and developed this request info form prospect inquiry. But all this does, and then you can see all the programs. It was very simple. We continue to add on to this through the last year or so. But all this does is send an email to the admissions email address and someone responds. We're trying to really automate that, and that's what the CRM is all about. So this is a look at what Jonathan has worked with us to develop. We did a strategy session on what all should be in here. this is within the CRM, and this is what the students will see once they click on the website to inquire. And then there'll be a back-end tool that'll look similar, I believe. Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong, but where employees can get into the portal and input folks as well. But you could also use this one. So you can see academic plans, I'll be this, such and such, first-time freshman transfer, anticipated start term, anticipated year. We're going to get rid of program and interest. We had it in there, but what we're going to do is we are going to, rather than that, we're going to have areas of interest, because it's a lot simpler on the inquiry end. And these are more along the lines of pathways where we want to be. And this is very helpful in marketing, because we can email them maybe specific information about this. We could develop brochures that are printed for all of these things in these types of areas that really catch all of our majors, but don't get too specific. So moving on, you can see that we're developing these flows for new students. We're developing them also for dual enrollment students, and we're developing a little simpler flow for them. Not quite as extensive for a guest student, for example, but we're basing them on the type of student that they are. So a lot of work going on. We're also building these as well for the admitted students, and then that portal as well. So lots of work still to do, but we feel like this is a really good goal for the next 5 to 6 months to complete as far as WIG goes for the CRM. And that's it. Thanks.
Great work, team. This is truly transformational for the way the college does business. It's right in line with the strategic plan, the things that have come out of the strategic plan, the things that we heard of from Jim Black and his team in SEM Works. We're really we're changing the experience for the student and helping them to enroll and succeed. So this is fantastic work. Dean Letter, I see you on here. I just want to see if you had any updates for us, and we will be working with each of our deans, obviously, as we implement this as well, to deeply integrate you into the admissions process and the recruitment process of the college. So just want to see if you had anything to add, Dr. Letter.
I have nothing specific to add, but I do want to thank you for including us. It's I know this is a community effort to get students here and completed, so I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. All right, team. Well done. This is fantastic. If I could keep Joe, go ahead.
Scott, I just wanted to add that another component of this, which might be another CRM goal for a number of us here, and I know that I'm working with Tracy on this, at least discussing that, is the events component of this CRM. Because when you brought Leon into the conversation, we have a lot of recruitment events across the campus that really should be centralized through the CRM so that we can collect all that data. There's a lot of great things you can do in the CRM, so that might be a really good WIG goal. Once we get through the communications portions of this, or to work on simultaneously if we can.
Yes, absolutely, and it is. And actually, one of the things I was thinking about, and I'll want to talk to Tracy and Jonathan, obviously, on the side though, is when we want to do another orientation to the CRM, just kind of let people know what's coming. We did one for nursing not too long ago, and but I think we'll need to start just sharing with the college what's to come, so that they know. But I think that's a larger discussion, because there's that balance between sharing and having things ready. This meeting is adjourned. Well done, everyone.